and welcome to Conscious and Awareness TV. Today is November 21st, 2013. And today we have on the show Phyllis Gottschall, and she is a presenter of the Pachamama Alliance symposiums and also a holistic practitioner. And she will be speaking with us today about awakening the dreamer and changing the dream. And interesting enough, welcome Phyllis to the show.
Well, thank you.
Because, interesting enough, when I saw awakening the dream or changing the dream, my perception of that was really completely different.
Really?
Well, I didn't realize, and she's going to actually go in and tell us about what Pachamama means and really what this is all about. Because, like I said, when I saw that awakening the dreamer, I thought, wow, because we're all dreamers, right? And so it's awakening the dreamer, but changing the dream. And I thought, what does that mean? So, which is interesting because when we think about our perception of different things, that what we think is running through our filters of our own experiences and our own life experiences.
Right.
And so then you hear somebody else's what it really is, and
That's
it's like,
right.
It's completely different.
Right.
It's not. So what I'm really saying is that it's really good when we feel that we know what that means. It's always good to question and ask, so really what does that mean?
Yeah.
And get the clarity on that. So, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you.
This is just, like I said, I know I saw Lynn Twist years ago at Unity, and she had talked about this. So tell us.
And I was at the same symposium.
Yes, and I didn't even know that at the time. And so, this is great. And, again, I think this is really, Conscious Awareness TV is really about bringing people to a conscious awareness. And it's really a conscious awareness in their life of how they're being, what they're saying, what they're doing, and really being mindful how we're living consciously. How are we being to one another? How are we interacting with one another?
And these two things fit together like hand in glove. I was just thinking about that last evening.
Wow.
Yes, so I want to tell you a little bit about Pachamama Alliance and how this Awakening the Dreamer fits into that. The Pachamama Alliance was actually founded about 1995 when Lynn Twist got a call from the Ashwar people down in the midst of the jungles in Ecuador.
So this is an indigenous people?
Yeah, these are indigenous people who have not had a lot of contact with the outside world until recently. So this call went out, and they have what they call their dream time. So they're very in touch with what's happening in the universe. They're very in touch with the earth and all life.
Can I ask you really quick, just so the viewers and listeners have an idea? So when you say dream time, is it is it like ours when we go through, when we're in sleep and we have this dream time?
Well, it's like a meditative time.
Okay.
Where they go inside and they, reflect on what they've come up with. But it also is the real dreams.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was with the Ashwar people last year. Yeah,
Wow.
and if we have time, I'll talk more about that.
Love that.
But what we experienced was we met with them in the very early morning hours, and what they do is they get up about 4 o'clock, and they share their dreams. And then they base what they do for the day on the dreams that they had
Really?
that night. Yeah. So when I'm saying dream time, they got the message that their culture and their environment was about to be encroached upon.
Right.
And they decided to be proactive about it. So they reached out to Lynn Twist.
Now, did they know Lynn?
They didn't know her.
Okay, so they reached out. So
They reached out.
Yeah, so,
I know.
Yeah, the
This
audience
is a
is
big
probably
story.
wondering exactly, like, how could they reach out? So do you have will that be part of the story?
Well,
Just
I don't...
to give them clarity as to what that means being reached out.
To reaching out is that through, that we're all connected. And what I've been listening to in your past shows is that people are talking about oneness.
Yes.
And there is a consciousness that connects us all.
Absolutely.
So let's just say, through this consciousness.
She got a thought, right? So the thought is connected and visions.
Visions,
so that they sent these to her. So, okay, great.
And so she responded.
Wow.
And she actually went to the Ashwar people in Ecuador, and they met. And what they said was that they wanted her to go back and talk to the people of the West and change the dream of the dreamers. And what that meant was to make the people of the West aware that what we're doing is really affecting all of the world.
And when you say what we're doing, what does that mean?
How we are
consciously living?
Consciously living,
I mean,
or unconsciously living.
Yeah, really, yes. Yeah, that's true,
yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was, and what they said is, if you're coming here to help us, don't.
Right.
But what we're asking is for you to see that your life is intertwined with ours.
Wow.
And if we can work together, we can make a better life for all of us on this planet.
Well, what I find interesting is that, first of all, she gets a vision, right? And she hears this, and she acts upon it. I mean, if, for myself just included, I would think, wow, like, I guess you'd have to be in that space or place to be able to go, okay, I feel drawn to this, or I'm not really sure. So did she have any questions of like, gosh, like this is kind of crazy, it's unreal,
Yes.
I don't know, but I have this like this pull.
Yes.
So that's
Absolutely.
what it really was for her. So
yes, and her explanation of it, when I heard her talk about this, she actually thought she was losing her mind.
Yes,
you
well,
know.
of course.
I mean, she went home, she canceled all appointments, went home and just vegetated for a while.
Well, and she dedicated her whole life to this. I mean, she actually quit her
now
job.
she's dedicated her life.
Yeah, right.
And so what she did, this was a daunting task. How do you change, this person's going to change the dream of the West? Oh, yes.
Yes.
So she, of course, sat down with it, and what she came up with is this symposium, which is Awaken the Dreamer. And now, which is an educational program.
Right.
And
it's very good, by the way. If you haven't, and I'm sure at the very end, Phyllis will let us know how you can actually watch these and also how you can view them in person if you need to. But it's really worth it.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's a very good program. So what happened then was that she developed this program, trained facilitators, got the materials together, and now this program is in 50 countries in 10 languages. Wow. So a lot of people are getting awakened through this program. And it's one of the better programs doing this work.
Well, and I want to let the viewer, well, first of all, what does Pachamama mean? Because they're probably asking, what does that really mean? What does it mean? Because I didn't know what it meant either.
The short answer is that it's Mother Earth. The longer answer from the Quechua people is the Mother Earth, the Father Sky, and all.
It's all encompassing.
All of life on the planet. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
So, that's why they called it Pachamama Alliance.
Right.
So then the Awaken the Dreamer is the educational component under the Pachamama Alliance. And then I want to mention that they also have journeys that they offer several times a year to the Amazon and to the rainforest. And you actually get to live with the Ashwar people. They now have eco-villages there.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And this has all come about since 1995.
Wow.
So a lot's happened in a short time.
Well, and I want to let the viewers and listeners know also that this is not necessarily about environmental. I mean, it is. No. I mean, it's a part of it because it's all mixed in, but it's not about environmentally.
Just sustainability.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. So we're going to get to that too.
Yeah. So that would be a good place to say that the purpose is to bring forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just environment, to our planet.
Right. So let's go back. I just want to step back just a little bit when you talked about the journeys. One, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because to really get the idea of what it's like with these indigenous people, because they know so much that we don't know. And it's like the Indians. They're given all this information that they have about our world, and yet there's a time when that is to be revealed to the consciousness, which is all of mankind, when we're ready to hear that. And now all these things are happening, right? And all this stuff is coming out to awaken the dreamer.
Right.
So I think it's wonderful that they're doing that. I personally would love to take a trip, because I think it would be just to know what it's like and how they live, and to live off the land, because that's what we were really meant to live off. I mean, we were given everything.
I mean, yes.
Right.
And they waste nothing.
No.
They waste nothing.
No. So it's because we talked when we, pre-interview. So it was just really interesting, all the stuff that you said. So I think that's wonderful. So explain to us about the environmentally sustainable. Is it 3 steps? The environmentally sustainable,
spiritually fulfilling,
right,
socially just.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what I'd like to do maybe is to say the parts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of the symposium, which will then, I think, answer the question.
Great, yeah.
The parts of the symposium, rather than just jumping in and saying, oh my goodness, we have all this stuff going on, which is becoming quite obvious to us.
Right.
Looking at just this past week with the, the typhoon, and then the tornadoes in the Midwest, and fires this past summer. So we know that a lot's happening. So we go back and we look at how this all started. How did we get on this trajectory that we're on?
Right.
And where are we now? And then the
going?
best part is the action step. Okay, what can we move into doing?
Right.
And what Lynn makes very clear at the beginning of the symposium when she presents it is, it's really important for us to move out of our heads and into our hearts.
Absolutely. Because
as long as we stay in our heads, we can be presented all this information, and we just go into overwhelm, and we go into numbness, and we think, oh, this is just too much, and then we shut down.
Right.
So as long as we stay in our hearts, we can be open to the possibilities.
Well, not only that, when you're in your heart, you're connected.
Exactly.
To not only yourself, but you're connected to source, you're connected to life, you're connected to all, which is all of life. Right. So I think it's absolutely very important.
Yeah. So just a little bit about how we got here is back in the time of the Industrial Revolution, we started tapping into our resources, which is a very interesting term when you think about it.
I was going to ask you resources of.
Our planet.
Yes.
So we're seeing our planet, it's the start. We're starting to see our planet not as something that we're part of, but that we're resourcing from, that's feeding us.
Yeah.
And what are we giving back? So at that point, the population starts to grow.
Yeah.
And we're starting to resource more and more until things begin to get out of balance.
Yeah.
And then we start moving into this place of the population growing more and more. We're taking more from the planet, and now we're to the point that we are really living in an unsustainable world where the planet really can't sustain us any longer.
Well, and we've created that.
Yeah, of
through
course.
The thoughts.
Through our actions, our behaviors, and our separateness when we became separate from the Earth, the planet. And so now we're actually living off our ecological credit card.
Which is? It's a great way to put it. I've never heard it put that way. It's very interesting.
Which is that we've passed the line where things are in balance, that we have enough resources for the population to sustain the population. So we've gone over the line and the trajectory, and we're now above the line into the tipping point, as many people put it.
Would you say the danger zone?
Which is the danger zone. So we are teetering on a fence of whether really we can make it or not.
Right.
And so it's time for us to wake up.
Well, well, first of all, let me just interrupt because I want to
Sure.
let the viewers and listeners know. If you have a question for Phyllis or myself, please,
Certainly.
on Justin TV, if you're there watching us live, write it in. Our camera guy, Alan, will let us know and we can answer your questions. So please, if you have any questions, but we will have to let you know that you do have to create a login. So would you say that when we were talking about creating this and at the tipping point and that we've created this, would you say that Mother Earth is, with all these typhoons and the fires and all the tornado, that she is purging? It's like her cleansing of herself and purging and really not in a way that is I'm going to get back or anything of that nature, but it's more of it's cleansing herself, that is really to awaken us, right? Would you say
Could
that?
be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to read into that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that that's for me to say.
Okay.
All I can say about that is it certainly is awakening us to the fact that something's out of balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then to get back to the environmentally, spiritually fulfilling,
Right.
socially, just all these things and what I just said come forth in that, and they're all interconnected. We can't separate one out from the other.
Right.
So one of the things that we look at in the symposium is the fact that all of us have assumptions that we've made that we haven't really looked at.
Yeah.
And
when you're saying assumptions that we've made, what are you referring
that
to?
that we've made assumptions about different things that we haven't really examined.
Yeah.
So unexamined assumptions. And for example, we may think that racism is just a personal thing, between people.
Right.
Or maybe even we might expand it to a community.
Right.
But really it's institutionalized.
Yeah.
Racism in our country,
Yes.
and maybe the world, I don't know, is
Yeah.
institutionalized.
Yeah.
For instance, I was just looking up a statistic, 70% of our institutionalized people in this country are people of color. And there's a very growing rate, it's doubled, of black women in prison and of Native Americans in prison.
Right.
So there's an assumption that if you don't look into it, you don't know.
Right. Absolutely.
There's an assumption, for instance, that what we pay for a product that we buy
Right.
is the cost of producing that product.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is not true at all.
Which is not true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same goes for what you're talking about with the racism as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
So we asked people in the symposium to take a look at their assumptions that they've made that they haven't really examined.
Right.
And it opens up then some awarenesses.
Exactly.
When you do that.
Exactly.
For instance, there's another one with the whole gay rights activity that's happened this year. Some people might say, well, shoot, the gays are in a pretty good place now. They got all these rights, but there are many states that you can still get fired for
Right.
being gay or lesbian.
Yes. We
or
still don't recognize
transgender.
that. Yeah.
We have in San Diego 2,000 kids between 12 and 18 years old that are homeless.
Right.
And 40% of those are gay or lesbian,
Right.
and mostly because they've been asked to leave their home
Right.
when they came out to their families.
So this is really going back to what you're talking about, is this assumption.
Right.
It's really that we really
Yeah.
need to be
So
more
look
in a
into-
consciousness of what we're doing, how we're being, really being in a conscious awareness.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
We have a question. Let me get my glasses on to read that. Do you think the Pachamama Alliance could have been possible in the 60s? Very interesting. Will it continue to be possible 40 years from today? Wow. It's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. It's hard to say. There certainly was a lot of movement going on in the 60s.
Yeah.
And But I don't know that we were at that consciousness level. I think consciousness was getting raised by many people,
Right.
and musical groups.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the laying of the foundation for this to happen now. And what Lynn Twist says about it continuing 40 years from now, she sees us as evolving out of the need for the Pachamama Alliance. And maybe it will expand into different avenues, and it already is, into looking at financial investing, looking at our financial investing in a more conscious way, I should say.
Right.
And other things of that sort. So I hope she's right, you know, that we can raise the consciousness on the planet, not only through Pachamama Alliance, but the many organizations.
Well, and this the TV show. That's what we're really
Exactly.
we're all about, is shifting
just
and
like
raising.
I said,
Absolutely.
hand in glove.
It really is. It's
Yeah.
not just us, but it's there's a lot of other light workers, the people that we have
Right.
on the show. This is really about raising the consciousness.
Yeah.
And once we do that, there's enough light workers and becoming more of people who are awakening to their great gift, to their passion, and realize and being called, not really knowing, but being pulled.
Right.
So the more that this happens, and that's why it's so important that we really do awaken consciously how we are being to the Mother Earth, to
Right.
people, to all of life.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has a great vision. I mean, 40 years, geez.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Who knows what's going to
Wow.
be happening in 40 years?
Exactly.
I mean, things are
moving fast.
moving so fast
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
But before I get to the excitement, I just want to say some more about, you know, why we have this separation too. And it's because some people, which speak on this DVD in the symposium, they say that there's a great loneliness and there's a great sadness. And it's sort of like a deep grief that many people aren't aware of. And they're trying to fill this void
Yes. Yes.
with consumption of alcohol, drugs, food, buying things.
Material, money,
You know,
yeah.
and just trying to fill this. But it will never happen.
Right.
You know, it will never work.
Right.
And Van Jones, who's an author of the Green Collar Society,
The Green
says
Collar,
that-
I've never heard of that. What is the
yeah,
Green Collar?
it's
Society?
well, it's a book actually.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
book that he wrote, but he's an activist,
Oh.
and yeah, you can look him up on the internet. Very powerful man, and he looks into the camera and he said, "And you can try, you know, filling this void with all this consumption." He said, "But it will never work."
Yeah.
And you know, it's going inside and finding ourselves and what this void is about,
Right.
and start filling it from the inside out.
Absolutely. Overflowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's definitely an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
It is.
You know, it's uncomfortable for people to have to go inside and do the work.
Yes.
You know,
And
so that's why it's great to have these
And
tools.
I see that, you know, with this program, what you've been doing and the other interviews that you have done with people, there's, you know, a lot of people that are
Right.
working with this in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
And it's just, you know, picking and choosing what resonates for you and how
Absolutely.
you want to work on it,
Absolutely.
you know. Yeah. So, so here we have, you know, the place that we're in right
Right.
now.
Right.
And so we're seeing it in the environmental and the spiritual being disconnected,
Right.
and in the social with how we're treating people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as Van Jones said, we're like a throwaway society.
Right.
You know, what we don't consume and our material things we throw away. He talks about throwaway people that we're throwing into prisons,
Yeah.
like the youth.
Yeah.
rather than working with them. We
Right.
just
And
throw 'em
finding
in.
out what's going on with them.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
So it's become a throwaway society.
Mhm.
And then I like the point that Julia Butterfly Hill makes. Julia Butterfly Hill is an activist, and she's best known for having sat in a 1,000-year-old redwood tree that's 180 feet tall for 2 years in Humboldt County back in the late 90s.
Wow.
And she's passionate about her journey and about her path.
Absolutely.
And in this DVD, I mean, she just says with such passion, you know, when we throw away, where is away?
Good question.
Where is away?
Really?
And then she goes you go into Starbucks and you get this cup of coffee and you drink it, and you throw the, top away, and then you throw the container away. And where's away?
Yeah. That's a very good question. You think it's in the trash, but where does the trash go?
Yeah.
I mean,
when you track it, you start seeing the irony of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Away really means, when I started thinking about it, away just means it's out of my sight.
Exactly. Yeah. But where is it really going after that? Yeah. When nobody ever tracks it, nobody ever thinks twice about it.
Yeah.
Really, when you think about that.
Put the stuff out in the curb and it's out of my yard.
Yeah.
So no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does this go back into, again, not necessarily being environmental, but really about changing the dreams of the dreamer in the West dreamer, however Lynn was saying that, that they told her to come back and do that.
To wake us up, to see that we weren't wrong. I mean, we had to go in the direction that we went. It was a progression.
Right.
But now we have to wake up to the fact that, wait a minute, now we have to refine. We weren't wronged. We didn't got off track a little bit here. And it's not that we can't change it. We can.
Right.
And so that's what it's about, changing the dream of the dreamers. We're the dreamers. We're just off mindlessly sometimes, not paying attention to what we're doing. And it brings to mind, I just went to a little day-long thing with Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Buddhist monk.
Sounds familiar.
And he talks a lot, as the Buddhists in general do, about mindful living. And he talks about from the time you say you're going to work and you step out of your car, walking mindfully to the office, about how you're walking, what you're seeing.
Wouldn't you even say knowing that you're walking on the earth?
Exactly.
Like you're walking in rhythm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with everything that we're doing. And he says, like when you're washing the dishes, just treat the dishes and this whole washing process as if you're washing the baby Buddha, he says.
Yeah. So it sounds like an experience, really.
Yeah, it's doing everything that we do mindfully.
Right.
And as I was thinking about it this morning, so none of these things are separate from one another. As we're starting to live more mindfully, everything that we do is just folding into the next thing.
Right.
It's not that, okay, now we're paying attention to recycling. Now we're paying attention to our finances. Now you see what I mean? It's just becomes a way of life.
Right. So one thing, it not only just affects the one thing, but it affects the whole.
Everything, the whole is affected. And just as the Ashwar were telling Lynn Twist, what you do affects us and vice versa.
Absolutely.
You know. And with all of our media now, we're getting to see that. It's bringing us together.
Right.
To connecting.
Absolutely.
Which is what we really need to be doing.
Yeah. So you talked about spiritually fulfilling. So can we tap into that and what you're...
Yeah, I would say spiritually fulfilling is about the connecting.
Right.
Connecting to our spiritual source.
Right.
And our spiritual source is everything.
Right.
And however people want to do that, it's not necessarily, I would say it's not religious.
I was going to ask you, so the viewers and listeners have an idea, how are they to connect with that?
Right. I find, for me, nature is my way of connecting.
Yeah.
When I'm pondering something or I'm disturbed about something, I go for a walk and I sit with the trees. And I have been doing this since I've been a little kid. When I was upset with my parents, fortunately for me, I had a woods behind my house.
Nice, yeah.
And I would take my dog and we would go to the woods.
Yeah.
And I'd sit down and I'd say, I don't know. You know, I don't know what we're going to do.
Right.
Maybe we need to leave home. What do you think?
Right, yes.
And you know, nature is a great counselor,
Yes.
you know, because you can just sit there and you can say whatever you want. And if you listen, you get the answer.
Yeah. Did you find you got many answers as you were out there?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. The birds talk to me. My dog talked to me.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's one way,
Yes.
nature. And I think it is for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be reminded.
Right.
You know, we're all teachers, we're all students.
Absolutely.
So we have to remind each other.
Yes.
Don't forget to take a walk. And while you're taking a walk, be mindful.
Right.
Listen to the birds, look at the trees.
Right.
And then, you know, if you have a spiritual practice, then do your spiritual practice.
Right.
Just start your day as when you wake up in the morning, being grateful, being gratitude. That you woke up, you know, and that you're in the peacefulness of your where you are.
Yeah.
I want to say something about the gratitude in that if we were told that if we have a refrigerator, we have clothes in our closet, we have a roof over our head, and we have food to eat, we are better off than 83% of the people on this planet.
Wow.
So
Wow,
when you're
that's
standing
huge.
in the shower, that could be a spiritual moment of
Right.
just being in gratitude of hot water
Right.
and or having water.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think gratitude is a really big part of our spiritual. It could be part of your spiritual practice. Some people keep gratitude journals.
Yeah.
You know, just again as a reminder.
Yeah.
And then meditating, which is, or just deep breathing, as one of your interviewees was mentioning. It's just a way to get us stilled down, to be more in touch with our inner selves.
Right. You talked about the numbness. Let's expand on that, because I mean, you know, again, it's about perception. So just to give the viewers and the listeners an idea of when we talk about we've gone into this numbness in relationship to Pachamama. When you refer to numbness, what are you referring to?
Yeah, numbness to me means like getting an overwhelm, like things are just too much. I can't handle this. So it's closing down. It's closing down our heart, really, I think, so that we're not connecting anymore. We're not connected to ourselves. We're not connected with Source. We aren't connected to possibilities.
Right.
It could be a lot of what depression or anxiety, a lot of the things that people experience.
Right.
Because when you get into numbness, you pretty much exclude possibilities.
You're completely cut off. You're just totally disconnected.
Yeah, to your source.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When we met also, you had talked about a farmer, and I thought that was a very interesting story, which I think would be really good. Do you remember that, the farmer?
What I was talking about, I think, was in the early days of when we were more connected to the earth.
Right.
You know, when people were farming, they were living more connected to the earth, and seeing that what they did had some relevance to their life. Right,
the care that they took with the soil and the
and I think
crops.
a better utilization too of the resources. It wasn't that this great abundance of resources.
Right.
They had to be mindful
Right.
of
Absolutely.
how they were using their resources. And and let's see, I don't remember what else about that stood out for you. I mean, I could expand on it, but
yeah, I think just I can't really remember a whole lot. I
Yeah.
just remember it was a really I think just in how you were saying that when these farmers they go out there, it really is taking care of this dirt, of the earth, and really because you want a good crop, so you're really taking care and you're using everything. And I think that farmers really do have this love for the earth because they know what it provides for them.
right. Yeah.
So I don't remember the whole story, but I thought it was really important.
And another point about that just came up for me is being resourceful.
Yes.
Not going out and just buying everything. Saying, well, how can we make things, or how can we repair things?
Right.
Because again, we're getting into this throwaway society. We've
Right.
forgotten how to repair things.
Yeah. Maybe
And-
that's what it was. When we talked about that. Yeah.
And being more resourceful about that.
Yeah.
And certainly, I come from Pennsylvania Dutch background, and my family is a very frugal family. We repaired everything, and we saved. My dad was a great saver.
Yeah.
You never know when you might need this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And he turned out to be right many times.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And we didn't live real close to town, so it wasn't convenient to, if you needed something, to just run to town and get it.
Exactly,
The Home Depot wasn't down the road.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have another question here, so let's see.
Okay.
Are there any examples of good corporations or industries that are mindful of our environment? Very good question. Thank you.
Oh, yes. I just want to point out a statistic here that there are 200 million
Wow.
companies and organizations that are working for the environmental sustainability on this planet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you might want to Google that, but I will just tell you some that I know of. Phone communication companies. Credo is doing a wonderful job of informing people. A lot of the money that you spend on your services with them, millions, go into different organizations, and you get a chance once or twice a year to choose those organizations that your monies go to. And that brings up that if you have money available for you to invest, you might look at socially aware financial organizations where you can invest. And one of those would be Calvert, and also it's OKI Credit.
Wow.
And I would suggest looking into those, because again, your money goes to supporting things that you might want to support. And if your money is elsewhere, you might look into what you are supporting.
Yes.
With those monies. American Airlines.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Support gay and lesbian
Wow.
issues. Let's see, Target does.
Wow. How come these are not known to people?
Well, you have to. They are. I'm getting emails all the time. That's how I know a lot of these things.
But how
So
did
you
someone
have to
tap into that?
into,
So it's Googling?
yeah,
Okay.
you can Google, and you can start getting connected to different groups. And if you're not connected at all right now, which we'll talk more about, then start getting connected
Yeah.
to groups and people in your community. And I'll give you my contact information at the end of the show.
Right.
And if you want to just contact me, and then we could communicate more about where you can get connected if you're not right now.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Yeah, absolutely. Because this is awakening the dreamer.
Right.
And we're changing the dream.
Right.
So great questions, and hopefully we've answered your questions. You know,
yes,
I think it's
at least it's a start.
It's a
I
start.
don't think I fully answered,
Yeah.
but it's a start to give you an idea that there are many groups.
Yeah.
So I think if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk about, because that's the exciting part for me.
Yes.
Of where we can go.
Yes,
where we're going.
yes, absolutely, because that's important. Because people want to know, where are we going from this?
Yeah.
You know, because where are we at, and then where we're going.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's what we're just talking about is a little bit heavy, but it's reality, and we got to look at that.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's great opportunity. And that's the way I look at it. I just am very grateful that I'm on the planet at this particular time because of the opportunities that are present for us right now. So where we're going is, boy, we have a lot of opportunities to step in. And the thing is once we've awakened, is not to go back to sleep again.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, that's really nice. Well, thanks for letting me know that, but I don't know if I want to be stepping into that.
Yeah.
But realize you don't have to save the world. Nobody's asking you to do that.
Yeah.
All you have to do is your little part. And it may just be in your own home. It may be in your neighborhood.
Right.
And again, getting out of your head into your heart. So what calls you? What of some of these things that we just discussed, or other things you see in the newspaper or in your community or your friends talking about, so calls to you, you say, you know, I think I would like to involve myself with that more.
Right.
And you can do it by yourself, and if you like it, pull in your friends and family. But just some suggestions.
Yeah.
One is, if you, like in my neighborhood, there are a lot of fruit trees, but people aren't picking the fruit.
Wow.
And that bothers me, you know. So there's this group called the Senior Gleaners.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And they're a senior group that will come in and pick your fruit and then distribute it to people.
How wonderful.
Like institutions. They do it free. Or, you know, when I have time, I go pick it, and then I take it down to Interfaith, where they serve meals here in Escondido.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So just little things like that.
Right.
Or say you have a garden at home, and you have more of something. Like this year I had a lot of cucumbers for some reason. So, you know, I gave cucumbers away to the neighborhood. It's a way to contact or get connected with people in the neighborhood.
Right.
Then maybe next year, just plant more so that you can do that.
Exactly.
Or put a little stand out.
I was just going to say, what if you put a little stand down in the corner and just say free fruit and vegetables, you know, for people who just want to come by, and they're like, wow, free? Are you kidding? Like, who knows, you know? You just don't really, you know, just it's one of those things that people just aren't really conscious of, you know, and going, oh my gosh, we get something actually for free, so that's wonderful,
Yeah. And then look around, I would say, look around your community and see, you don't have to start everything from scratch.
Right.
There is so much going on right now that possibly there's a group already started that you can connect into.
Yeah.
If you do go to a spiritual center, most likely there's something going on there, or if there isn't, then you may want to get something going on.
Yeah.
Like where we first got connected with Pachamama Alliance was through Unity Center, where it was being presented.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
well, we got connected through the Philosophical Library.
Right.
But that's how I remember seeing the symposium.
The
exactly.
Alliance,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, awesome. Well, how can the viewers and listeners get in touch with you? How do they know to get more information about the Pachamama Alliance and these different corporations that are, you know, that are helping in the environment, and just anything else they can get in touch with you?
Right. So first I want to give you the website for Pachamama Alliance, which is www.pachamama, P-A-C-H-A-M-A-M-A, alliance.com. And then you can also go to www.awakenthedreamer.com. And for me, I'll just give you my personal email, which is phyllnan@gmail.com. And my phone number is 760-745-5298. So I'd be willing to discuss any of this. I want to let you know that the DVD is available to anybody. And if you go to the Pachamama Alliance website, all the information there is available to download, that you can give your own little symposium to your family, your friends. If you want me to support you or help you with that, I can do that. I'd be very willing.
Now, are you also doing classes at the Philosophical Library still?
I'm not doing classes right now, but I have done symposiums there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want to talk to me about the journey,
yes,
with to the Ashwar people, with the Pachamama Alliance journey, I would be more than willing to talk to you about that. So do we have a minute that I can
Yes.
something?
And then I'll just let the people know that to tune in next week, but absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, at the end of our symposiums, what we always do is we offer people these little bracelets that are made by the indigenous people.
Wow.
So we pass these around and people take a bracelet. So I'm going to offer you one, Linda.
Oh, well, thank you.
And they're different colors and different widths and so forth.
Let me see what... I think I like this one. This is the one I kind of picked up. They're all so beautiful. I have to say, they're all really beautiful. It's hard to pick with just one. Yeah, I think this is good. I think I like the pink and the blue.
So that what you'll see, Linda, is that you can't put this on by yourself.
Okay.
So here we have the connecting, where we connect by me putting this bracelet on for you.
Thank you.
And as you wear this, you will be reminded of our connection, of our whole purpose of getting together, of this discussion, of where this might take you in your own journey.
Absolutely.
And
all the viewers and listeners as well.
And hopefully you all are on your own journey, and if not, this is a great beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it, and
I appreciate it.
Yeah, everything you're doing to make a difference in the world as well. So thanks so much. We want to thank our listeners and our viewers out there. We want to thank Akasha Healing Studios for making this happen. We want to thank Alan, who's made this so possible to be able to film and be here and support. And everyone, just thank you so much for making this really, making a difference in the world. And that's what we're really all about, is shifting and raising the consciousness. And stay tuned for next week. Tim Marsh will be on the show, Thanksgiving Day, and he will be speaking with us about infinite possibilities. So if you missed today's show, no worries. You can tune in to our YouTube channel, which is Conscious Awareness TV, and that'll take a little bit of time to get up the shows, but the show, which should be up on next Tuesday. But if you like the show, please like us and also subscribe, because then you'll be notified of when the shows are up and running. So thank you again. We look forward to seeing you next week on Conscious Awareness TV. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.